Hello, welcome back to my channel, and today I'll be talking about one of the topic which I always have a debate or discussion with my clients, because the question nowadays is always that it's getting harder and harder to own multiple properties or to flip a property. So assuming you only have one chance to buy a property in Singapore today, what property would you buy to guarantee you a profit? So before I give you the answer, or rather my opinion, let me show you some of the numbers that I always show my clients. And the thing, when we talk about guaranteed profit, we definitely have to look at the profitability of the condo itself. So let me show you. This is just one of the example. If you can see all the profits over here, averagely around 500,000, and if it's higher, it goes even up to 1 million. This is just one example, and this is the second example which we are looking at, and the third and the fourth. So for those who have a keen eye to detail and you notice the address, you would realize that the type of property which I'm referring to that will guarantee you 100% profit is actually executive condo. Just a quick explanation, executive condo is just the same as a condo with all the facilities that a condo comes with, but it is heavily subsidized. And because it is heavily subsidized, the government imposed strict restrictions on purchasing of the property itself. So there are pros and cons for this, which I will highlight later. And these pros and cons also lead to it being profitable. So first thing, how do executive condo compare against BTO or even new launch condo or resale condo? Because when we talk about you only have one chance, right, we have to do all comparison. And the first thing which we look at will definitely be HDB, because that's the entry level for any residential property in Singapore. I believe executive condo is the new BTO lah. So if you look at numbers here, over the past 15 years, the average price growth for an EC is 200%, as compared to HDB, the average price growth is only 92%. Obviously, we have a clear winner over here, right? And next thing is the price growth of a resale executive condo versus price growth of a resale condo. Similarly, over here, you can see the average price growth of a resale condo is only about 92%, whereas for resale executive condo, which we mentioned earlier, is 200%. And next thing, other than the price growth, why are people buying so much into new launch EC? After going through the comparison of profits, we actually have a clear winner over here, no debate, that over the past 15 years, executive condos actually outperform its peers in terms of residential property. But why so? Personally, based on my research and what I have been speaking to my clients on the ground, is because executive condo fills a gap. What do I mean by a gap? It's actually a price gap in the market. So if we were to see, right, the price gap of a new launch and in OCR versus the price gap of a new launch EC is getting wider and wider. So when new launch property is getting more and more expensive, new launch EC actually didn't appreciate that much in price. It did appreciate, but not as fast as a new launch condo. So if I'm a HDB upgrader looking for something new, a new launch EC, if I meet all the criteria, would be a more affordable choice. If you look at the recent launches in Tampines, Parktown Residences averagely launch around 2003, 2004, whereas the EC that is just nearby, or of Tampines, the average transacted price is only 1,007. So the difference in PSF is $600 to $700, which makes a new EC very, very attractive. On top of that, people will be asking, oh, then I go and buy a resale condo lor. Even for a resale condo, if you were to compare the prices is actually merging now. So a new launch EC is selling at an old resale condo price point. So from a more logical standpoint, if I can afford, I'd rather buy something new with a fresh lease that nobody has ever stayed before. So most of the condos in the area, let's say Tampines, they're transacting around 1,000, 5,000, 6,000, 7,000, which is the price of Oriole. That is why Oriole is sold out, not really sold out, but all the balloting chances there, so like 80% during the first day of launch. Of course, I'm sure by now you have seen all the articles commenting that EC make a lot of profit, and the recent £100, I think the owner made around 1.7 million in profit by selling a 5-bedroom. Of course, that is one of the outliers, but averagely, more and more ECs are making $1 million profit. So putting things into perspective, HDB is selling for $1 million, whereas EC owners are making $1 million. That is a very, very huge difference. If EC is so good as we say and what is being reflected in the news, why are there not as many people buying into new EC as new launches? The obvious answer is because of our government. They're actually restricting the purchase of EC to a very strict set of rules. And these rules are also the reason why EC remains very profitable. So if you fall within this range and you're considering either a BTO or an EC, I would strongly advise whoever out there is just go and get an EC lah. So the first one is there's an income ceiling of 16,000, and then the second one would be you are judged under the MSR rule. MSR is the mortgage servicing ratio, and I will go through why this rule makes a very huge difference when it comes to buying and selling of your property. So what happens when a brand new EC reaches its MOP? Only one thing will change, or rather two things will change. It will become semi-privatized. You can sell to more people because for a brand new EC, you can only sell to Singapore citizen earning below 16,000. But once it reaches MOP, you can actually sell to PR or Singaporeans or even single. Okay? Over here, you must be married, family nucleus, or joint single above 35. So these are the restrictions. But the other thing which I want to share with you, which is very interesting, is once it reaches MOP, one thing changed, which is your loan affordability. Why does this matter so much, and why do I keep going over this over and over again? For the same $16,000 income, if we look at the previous example and you're buying a new launch EC, you can only loan about $1 million. But with the same criteria, just that they judge your affordability differently, you can actually loan up to $1.8 million based on a 4% interest rate and 30 years loan tenure. So what does this mean? This means, right, for the same 1.5 million property, let's say assuming this guy that bought a new EC, okay, they enter at 1.5 million. But how much cash do they have to fork out when they enter at 1.5 million if they can only loan $1 million? They would have to fork out 500,000, right? Assuming you bought at 1.5 million for a 3-bedroom, 5 years down the road, you want to sell at $2 million. How much does this guy have to fork out? Okay, so if he want to buy at $2 million, he only need to fork out 200K. Right? Of course, the down payment is 25%, but just for simplicity's sake, let's just say it's 200,000. Whatever he needs to pay in the form of down payment is still much lesser than this guy buying into a brand new EC. So if I'm a HDB upgrader, which most of the cases people buying into resale EC, they are HDB upgraders, it is actually much easier for them because most of the HDB upgraders, they actually make a profit of 300K averagely to 500K from their HDB. So for them to upgrade into something to 2 million, right, earning a 16,000 income, it's so much easier, and they will still have balance or surplus cash proceeds or CPF proceeds from the sales of their HDB flat. And if they want to, they can choose to pay down this loan. So because of this, regardless of what price this owner want to sell, as long as it's not too over the about 1.5, if they even sell at 2.2 million, it's still very much affordable to a HDB upgrader. That is why I feel the changing of MSR to TDSR, it's a very big factor that contributes to the appreciation of EC. And of course, one more reason to add on, it's because of the holding power of a brand new EC owner. Because firstly, EC is already heavily subsidized. They are buying it at a cheaper rate than the surrounding condo. And secondly, because of the amount of cash or CPF they have to put into the EC, instead of taking a full loan of 75%, by paying off 500,000, they are just taking, I think, around 66% of the entire property value as compared to a brand new condo where they take up like 75% minimally. The holding power of EC owner is so much stronger. Therefore, you do not see many owners rushing to sell their property at a loss, right? Even if the market is good or bad. So over the past like 10 years, if you were to look closely, usually those EC that is being sold at a loss is when they sell before MOP because of either bankruptcy, divorce, or death for whatever reasons. But those that hold past MOP, right, they would definitely make a profit. That's it for the end of my video. I just want to reiterate, if you have the affordability, you have the down payment, and you fit all the criteria for an EC, just go ahead and buy the EC. Buy EC if can. I really feel it is very undervalued and it will definitely appreciate much more than the other residential property. But of course, not many of you fit the criteria for buying an EC, but there are still other choices out there, just that if I only have a chance and I fit all the criteria, this is something that I would definitely buy. And that's it for the video. If you like my content, or if you have a burning question or something you want me to do research on, just drop me a DM. If not, just remember to follow and subscribe to my channel.